everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the weekly peer preview from NRL SuperCoach for round 19, featuring myself, Aman talks NRL SuperCoach, and Nick Nicole from Wiki. Sorry, I almost said Nikki.
Love it. Well, I usually get Nicole, so I much prefer Nikki than Nicole. But no, awesome. Now, good to be back. I know we've had a couple of weeks off, but it's been a pretty hectic time for Supercoach. So I'm actually super keen to to tackle all things Supercoach because man, it's a rough time at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, players dropping left, right, center. Nico Hines out for the regular season. Latrell Mitchell currently injured. Like so many big names falling, and also like beginning of the bye period, you probably would have been surprised to hear that Olaquatu is available for the major bye round because he was looking at shoe-in for Origin, which he was for the first two, but he's been dropped to game three, which means he's dropped into the laps of all NRL Supercoach players out there who are looking at their round 19 numbers, thinking we can actually get a gun second row now. So he's the most traded in player by far, 14,500 players. Like, where do you think he ranks in terms of like, is he must have this week? Can you skip him? What are your thoughts on him? And do you reckon he's actually worth, that number one position?
Yeah, I reckon. I'm just looking at the list again. I think maybe Garrick is probably the only one that I can think of that sort of rivals. Yeah, just from that list, looking real quick, I reckon Garrick and Olakau'atu are the two. I'd almost, oh, it's really tricky. But I think with Olakau'atu, one thing I'll say very quickly, yeah, definitely can't talk anyone out of talk trading him in. I think the only like reason some people might be doubting him is the minus 95K and the price that the fact that his price is 600. Remind me again, was that a concussion or an early game injury?
No,
There was a
I think
reason.
some leg injury he picked up. Actually, I
Yeah,
think it was
it was
concussion,
around
but
Origin. It was like a calf or a HIA. I forgot what it was now.
yeah,
But
always do our research, hey.
yeah, but regardless, like I think just don't overthink it. He's a beast. And the one thing I was gonna say is I think when I look, well, my rank is obviously not very good, but then when I look at other teams, like they've got Eli Katoa, I've actually got David Fafita, but there's a couple of other second rowers that are beasts that are escaping my mind at the moment. But like for other people, you might not need Olaquatu because you might already have three or four Eli Katoa. Angus Crichton, of course, we've been talking
Yeah,
about it. I've
Angus.
not had him all season and it's dearly cost me, right? But if you're one of the guys who does have Crichton and Katoa especially, you may not need Olaquatu, whereas I actually do because David Fafita is like my gun second rower, and then I've got like KPP and Morgan Smithies and stuff. So like
Yeah.
Hamola was a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think so. So like I actually do own, so my second row now is actually quite stacked. So I've got Fafita, Angus, Eli Katoa, and Britain Nikra all before this week, and Kai
Oh,
Piss-Paul.
Jesus.
I've
Yep.
actually traded Kai Piss-Paul to Olakau'atu this week as well. So but that's a bit more of a luxury because I am sitting on 13 players already for the week. So I feel like I can afford to just make that upgrade.
Yep.
Olaquatu, like his season average is 70, but you take out that one game where he got injured, the season average is actually 75, which would put him third for the entire season. So that's behind Fafita and Angus only. So I think you are generally buying a top three back rower. Manly got a pretty good run for the run home. Covers next week as well, which is going to be a tricky mini bye week, I think, next week. So I really do like that Olaquatu. And my reasoning for wanting to be okay with stacking my second row, even though it's probably not a position traditionally where you want to put lots, maybe not traditionally, because back in the day you did, but this season we've seen centers do very well. But we do have like five second rowers who are probably averaging over 70. Like Azayo's in there. Brent Nicker has been on a really good tear in the last few weeks as well. And a lot of these guys do have buys in the next coming weeks. Melbourne have a buy at some stage. They're on a buy this week. Angus has a buy this week and round 23. Olaquat is going to buy in round 22. Like you will need to have depth, I think, in your back row and just across your team in general. We spoke about injuries. So I think in general, I'm actually happy to just have a good second row. And if I need to sell one of them, if there's an injury or if I need to make some cash, like I can decide which one's underperforming later on.
Yep.
So yeah, all in all, I'm happy with Olaquatu as a trade and I absolutely recommend him. And yeah, I think you're buying a season keeper. He's one of the few guys you traded for this week who you can just absolutely lock in for the rest of the season. Bit spicy at number two, though. Jaden Campbell, 622K, negative 44 break even, 9,318 trade ins. 170, obviously, the last time he played. So that's obviously in the back of mind of a few people. I think he scored 75 and 77 in the 2 weeks before that. So it's not just the one game. He has had a really good 3 game sample. I mean, he's a big hot topic of the week. Do you reckon he's worth the trade in or one you can skip?
Yep, I'm gonna go against the grain a little bit, and I reckon no. There's a couple of reasons why, and one thing I will say, I haven't looked at the Titans draw. So if they've got an amazing draw, that's one thing I'm not going to be talking about. The only reason I'm saying no, Keeney's been playing like lights out footy at fullback. Brimson's 18th man. He could potentially come into the halves. As a quote where he's like, I see myself playing the spine, etc. Foreign's obviously the other half. So there is a potential chance that JC, and he's also like had a couple of injuries, Campbell, this year as well. So you would assume that if Brinson goes into 5'8", then Campbell moves to fullback, Keeney gets benched. But there's a chance that JC ends up getting benched or rested, whatever. That's one thing. Second thing is the Titans have actually outperformed a lot of people's expectations when Tino
Yeah,
went down with his ACL. There are, what is it, 9 weekends of footy left in the season.
yeah,
And the Titans will, like you saw, Chris Randall and Keenan Palacios score the second and the fourth tries respectively. Who the hell predicted that last week and they beat the Titans? So all I'm trying to get at is I think there's a potential for them to really drop off and drop off sharply as the injuries pile up and obviously their final chances disappear. So for that reason, I'm going to say Campbell is potentially one to avoid. But just like if you just look at him as a player, then I think he's a great pick. But yeah, what about you?
yeah. I've really got two kind of views on him. So I think he's goal kicking, so obviously that's a big plus. And originally, I thought that if Brimson came back into that team, it's been quoted that he's not going to play at centre; it would either be at number 6 or fullback. Supposedly, it would be from what some rumors floating around on social media. So obviously, take this with massive grain of salt. Supposedly, it's going to be Keanu Kinney to go to the bench, Brimson fullback, Campbell stays at 6, which I think would be huge for him because I think that means he stays in the starting team, goal kicking, and I think Parramatta at home is a great matchup for this week. So I think with a projected score of 79, he'll go up 102K. If you have got the luxury of trades, he can even be a stepping stone to like a Cleary via duels or like a Ponga at fullback because he does have flexibility in both positions. So I think he can offer some good exits, if you do eventually need to sell him again. And I think the next 4 weeks are actually pretty good. Parramatta, Manly, Dolphins, Broncos. I don't see anything really too wrong with that. Broncos is at least a home game, and they did score 40 points on them last time they played. And I think aside from last week, he was putting up some good scores beforehand. So I'm actually starting to think, do I go Sam Walker to him? But I think I probably won't in the end, just because I think I'm already good for numbers. Sam Walker in his own right is also a good option. But yeah, coming into this week, I was a bit more skeptical. But if he does start, I think that really boosts his prospects. And I think at that point, I'd say, yeah, look, I think I can understand the reason why you would go him because he does have a ceiling. He's shown that.
Yep.
Uh, Will Price number 3. I might just yeah. Look, I'm not too keen on Will Price personally. I think the price it's a little bit no pun intended. Sorry,
I've heard that on 3 different podcasts. Come on, mate.
sorry, mate. It's too easy. It's too easy. But I mean, 345K. It's a little bit awkward. Like if he was bottom dollar, I think that would be really really more appealing. But number 4 and 5 traded in. Parramatta actually have got quite a few enough options this week. Charlie Geimer, Jake Tungo. I think they've got Lorenzo Mulatalo, who's I think apparently the twin brother
His twin,
of
his
Ronaldo.
twin, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I would rather take those guys for cheaper because I think Tyson Gamble is a big risk to Will Price's job security. And I think despite what people think of Gamble, I think Adam O'Brien does seem to like him in the Knights setup. So I think if I had to guess, Gamble will eventually take that position back from Will Price. So me personally, not too keen. I do think you're not freeing up enough money going down to him, and also you might have to sell him again. And comes into a buy fairly soon. I think they've got Penrith also coming up. There's a lot of things that make me think he's one that I think you can definitely avoid. You got any other different thoughts on him?
Not massively. I would just say if you were leaning to trading him in, though, I'm not saying he's the right or wrong move to bring in, but I would say just he does pass the eye test. Scored a try in the first game that he played in the NRL. Played really well last week, and I think he was close to scoring a try last week. He's one of those guys where, like, as long as he's in the team, he will accrue super coach points. So I think I agree that there are reasons not to pick him, but that's more around like players returning and will he hold his spot. But if you look at just purely him on the field, I think he's actually a really good, like he may not be great in terms of organization, he might not be great in terms of defense. He'll have to work on that, but he will accrue points. It's like a Tyron Wishart kind of guy where it's like things will happen. As long as he's on the field, he will score points. So if he's
Yeah.
like a 3-4 week guy for you because like you want to go down, but you don't want to go to like a Jake Tungo. I think he's fine, but yeah, there's definitely reasons to avoid him, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, just got his stats up here as well. Like he's very busy player, like 29 tackles
Mm,
last week. That's quite a lot for a 5'8". Forced dropout, offloads, quite a few runs as well. Like he has got the ability, I think, to have a really good floor. And yeah, scored over 60 in both of his first two games. But yeah, mainly this week is probably fine. But then it is Broncos, a bye, and then Penrith. So it's not like it's, oh my God, he's got juicy matchups that he can really skyrocket in price. Don't really see that happening so much. So that's also kind of another reason why I'm not personally too keen on him.
fair.
But so like for sure, I think if you're looking to just free up funds, a good one and done, not necessarily one and done actually, because Jake Tungo in number 5, he's holding the spot while Marcus Sivo is out, which is I think still going to be another 3 to 5 weeks. So Tungo will still play some games. He will have a bye next week, but he does have a game this week versus Parramatta. So if it's just a number, you're happy to take enough in your center. I think he's perfectly fine. Center, you can afford to take enough as well because you've got 2 other reserve spots to have depth in anyway.
Yeah.
So I think he's fine completely to me as a bit of a one and done. I'd probably take him over Lorenzo Mulatalo just because it seems though he will more likely get games in the future if there's any other backline injury. So at least he's some kind of depth potentially. Charlie Geimer, what are your thoughts on him? He had a pretty impressive game last week, and so I think I wish all I can say is I wish he was a front row forward because I might
Yeah.
just go Sam Hughes straight down to him and free up money, but can't quite do that. He's the
Mm.
second row forward only. But yeah, any thoughts on Charlie Geimer?
I think like he really so I watch games really closely, obviously for middle forwards and try scorers and all that. He really impressed. He looks like a little bit of Ben Hannon type of character, like same sort of chubby build
Polar
and all that
bear.
kind of stuff. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. It is. Yeah. So I think like the good thing about him is that Parramatta season is done. They've got a part-time what's it called caretaker coach, sorry. And then like they've got Bryce Cartwright and Sean Lane on the bench, so they're clearly like mixing things up at the moment. I think Gomer is starting lock or prop this week.
Yeah,
So
he's starting 13. Yeah.
yeah, so I think the positives are that he passed the eye test. They clearly like him. I think he got a second stint last week, or he kept playing until the end of the game, which really showed some. And now he's starting. So really good signs from that. And obviously from the super coach perspective, he got 43 points in. Does it say minutes?
He got 45 minutes last week. Yeah, since
There you go.
45 minutes. Yeah.
Yes, so that's all promising. Only worry is though, is like he could potentially be an AE risk. Like if if that 45 minutes then turns into only one
20
stint in like
maybe. Yeah.
20 to 25 kind of point range, yeah, that could be awkward. Yeah, just depends
Yeah.
on your team makeup. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, that's probably the biggest risk, right? I think for sure this week, if you get him, he can get you 40 to 45, which is pretty handy in a week like this. But yeah, there is an AE risk nightmare potentially waiting in the wings. I do think that one of Sean Lane or Cartwright will get into the starting team on game day because Parramatta just love to switch their forwards around on game day. The whole Joe Fingali, Junior Polo, that surprises no one. I mean, Junior Polo is injured now, so they can't do that. But yeah, I think Geimer is fine. I think I would just maybe, I know people might be looking to sell like a Joe Chan, who's an AE nightmare, although he didn't play last week. Just have a bit of a think that maybe Geimer has a similar thing happen to him, so then you're kind of wasting a trade in that sense. That's the only thing I think
Mm.
you just need to be wary of. 6, 7, 8, pretty interesting. I'd say yeah, 4 of the next 5 are all genuine Supercoach guns, either of current or of the past. We've got Ruben Garrett, Cody Walker, Tom Trbojevic, and then Dave Fafita in number 10. I mean, you've already mentioned Garrett briefly earlier. You reckon just no brainer, just get him in, forget the break even of 129. He's someone that you just want to lock it
Yep.
in.
Yep. I think they're 8 point favorites this weekend. I was on the tripod, it's like a punting podcast on Sunday, and I pointed out really early that there's a chance that Gagai and Ponga could be playing Origin, and Hamole was like rumored to be out, and Turbo like obviously didn't look ready to play Origin, so he could miss out. And it was like an early play to get on Manly when they were like pretty much 50-50, and now Manly are like 8 point favorites. So Manly could potentially is the game at well, yeah,
At
perfect.
Four
Yeah. So
Pines, yeah.
Manly home game. Knights obviously missing a couple of stars. This could actually like be a convincing Manly win potentially at home. So I personally would want to bring him in. I've actually got him in my team already, but
Yep.
that's my 2 cents on him. How about you?
Yeah, he's in my team. As you can, he's my captain as well currently.
Whee!
He's actually the most captain player in the top 5% of super coaches, just quickly tying in the captaincy chat. And I think the Fafita Garrick combination, just to blend into the captaincy chat a little bit as well. Like Fafita, last time he played with Jaden Campbell, it wasn't great. He did score over 80, but that required him getting that solo try that we know that he can do. But I think a lot of people maybe are thinking about the last time that Campbell played with Fafita. It wasn't great for Fafita. So I think in a week like this where you can take a free loophole, this is exactly what I'm doing. I want something on Fafita because he's one of the guns of the week. So I'm going to put the VC on him. But if he doesn't, if he scores over 90, I'll probably take it. If it's like a sub 80, like it's a 60, 70, I'll probably run the risk on Garrick. Supercoach Plus have actually put this out as well. So the Knights have leaked 66 points on average to the last 4 right centers. And thinking of someone like Garrick who's also got goal kicking, like Garrick scored 73 last week, pretty much all in work rate and a few goal kicks. So I think that 66 feels like a pretty reasonable floor. But coming up against a pretty weak edge, you'd say, with maybe Dylan Lucas and like Greg Marzu, they're not known for. I mean, Dylan Lucas is okay, but there's a lot of new faces on the edges for the Knights. So no Bradman Best, no Dangagai, no Ponga. I can see Manly with Turbo putting on
No
a
Tuala as well on the right wing.
no Tuala as well. Yeah, he's actually torn a calf muscle, I think, by the sound of it. So it's a pretty bad injury. But yeah, for me, Garrick feels like a very, very safe captaincy. The only thing that scares me is the last time I captained Garrick was when he had this beautiful score. Let me just put the score up. What was it? Oh, Captain Ruben Garrick, and he scored me 9 points against Dragons. But this just shows you, forget about the past. It's all about predicting the future. I think Garrick should hopefully go better than 9 points. Fingers crossed. Hopefully I didn't jinx it.
No, I love it.
Cody Walker, what are your thoughts on him? Apparently also supposed to be goal kicking as well this week. You got any you think he's worth a trade in?
I've already got him, and I think I've been making this point in my left v right article that I've been writing the last few weeks that he's moved to the right. He's activating Jacob Gagai. Looks really good. Also, remember that Latrell Mitchell's missing, and Wyden is very much a runner. Like you can see that Alex Johnson has not touched the ball in what feels like a month.
Yeah.
So general points for Cody Walker, all positive. I just want actually, you know what? I'll let you finish, but I've got a point re Tom Turbo. So I might just let you
Okay.
cover the other players and let me cover Tom Turbo, or at least let me have my say because I've got
Yeah,
a
all
juicy
right, all
one.
good. One thing on Cody. So, I mean, yeah, long term, there might be some potential impact with Latrell being out, but I think this week is a good matchup if he's goal kicking. Again, says here that the Dolphins have conceded 77 points on average to the last 4 right side playmakers, which is exactly where Cody's going to be playing. So, I think I don't currently have VC on him. I've dabbled with it. But yeah, Cody could actually be a great VC shout tonight as well. I'm probably sticking with the more solid, maybe more higher base guys, I guess, in Fafita and Garrick. But yeah, Cody Walker could be a bit of a high risk, high reward. Turbo. All right, mate. The floor is yours. Give us the spiel.
All right,
Get in.
you cannot trade in Tom Turbo. There's my
Oh,
spiel.
good claim.
Okay, so 2 reasons. Firstly, I didn't watch. I don't watch outside backs closely enough, so I actually didn't really notice Tom Turbo last week, and maybe that says something in itself. But no, like from every podcast and sort of like all the Fox Sports shows, etc. He apparently just didn't look right. So I think so my sort of like guess as to what's going to happen is that they're going to run out with Lehigh Hopewade at the back, Tom Turbo back to center, and Talau who's at center on the wing. I'm real like personal opinion, right? You don't have to obviously believe that, but I really do think that they're going to line up that way, or like they'll line up that way, and Tom Turbo will be a little bit more involved in attack. Regardless, I also think you bringing him in, if you choose to this week, kind of like you don't then want to trade him out 3 weeks later. You have then locked up one of your 2 fullback
Yeah.
spots. And you got to think about what that could cost you, right? So assuming a lot of people have Teddy, if not most, you don't want to be trading him out, right? So I've got Latrell. So for example, if I want a Turbo, I'd be going Trell to Turbo. But then like there's Ponga, there's the names escape me at the moment. Drinkwater,
Yeah,
there's
Drinkwater,
Dylan
you've got
Edwards.
Ponga, yeah, Dylan Edwards, Reece Walsh is a huge one. Pappenhausen is an
Sorry,
option for me as
Walsh.
well.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
Jesus. Okay. So you got like 6 players.
there's
Take
so
your
many.
pick. And I think it's not that Tom Turbo, I don't think he's going to be great for the rest of the season. I just think with 8 weeks left, Manly is surely smart enough to realize, give him a couple of games at center, let him sort of like work into it. I think there's got to be a reason why I don't think he was really even considered for that Origin return, and Bradman Best was selected, even though he had a hammy complaint. So long story short, I think there's 2 reasons not to trade in Tom Turbo. I think that he'll actually play in the centers, not at fullback. And on top of that, by bringing him into your team, you're essentially foregoing a more fit and informed fullback for the next month or so, because I don't think like some people might trade him out. Can you just pick up when Manly have their bye? Do they have the
Yeah,
bye
they have their
left?
buy in round 22.
There you go. Okay, so like some people might go, oh, I'm just picking him for the next 3 weeks, and if
Hmm.
he looks injured, I'll trade him out. But you're still going to be sacrificing round 20 and 21 with someone like a Reece Walsh who could just go absolutely nuts. So they're my two big reasons for not trading in Turbo. How about you?
Yeah, look, yeah. So I did watch the game. He clearly didn't look 100%. He looked a little bit reserved, like he wasn't fully, like I think he was fit to play, but not like in the full, like with the Tom
Mm.
Turbo that we know. And obviously hamstring injury, so like there's always a big re-injury risk, and he's just got suffered so many throughout his career. There is a bit of an element of risk of like he could potentially get injured again. You just need to be wary of that too. And we are running out of trades. I think he's fine. Like he's probably the best fullback to trade in for this week, who plays this week. Personally, look, for me, Tedesco, I think is pretty much locked in for the year just on how well he's going, and the Roosters are just firing. So it really comes down to, yeah, you made a great point. You don't want to lock up that second fullback spot with probably a worse option, because a fullback could potentially average 15 to 20 points better than the one that you maybe pick in Turbo, who might be solid and average low 70s. But, me personally, I'm thinking Reece Walsh or Ponga, I think, are the ones that I'll eventually go back to. I'm assuming Latrell is just going to be injured and maybe I don't go there. But someone like a Ponga, I know he's not in the top 10 traded in, but like night and day, he looked awesome on return. Like he looked so good playing Origin straight away. I'm terrified as a New South Wales fan to see him and Reece Walsh in the same team. Like I can see Ponga, unfortunately, shredding us on the edges if there's a bit of fatigue in the game. So Ponga doesn't have the best draw short term, but after I think a Penrith game, the Knights have got an excellent run for like 5 weeks. Three of them are at home. And if Ponga's back to goal kicking based on what he did last year, I'm thinking absolutely he's the one that I want. And I don't want to be in a position where I need to keep using trades to switch fullback. So I get the Turbo fullback trade in this week because he's the best option for this week. But I do think that if you can afford to, maybe see if you can trade, like maybe if you're trading Latrell, maybe get a center like a Garrick, maybe someone like an Isako is actually not in the top 10 most traded in, but he is an option who plays this week as well. Prefer that to maybe going Turbo personally.
Yep. I'll just make
Um,
one quick point around Isako, by the way. I heard this, I always forget. SC Playbook or Insight last night. Isako, the Dolphins apparently have a horrible draw to end the season. So I think they've
they
got
do.
one or two games that are all right. I've actually got Isako, and currently, oh, maybe I won't spoil that, but I do have Isako, but I'll be trading him out in a couple of weeks. So maybe not
Mm.
Isako as a trading, but I love your idea because I actually was in the exact same situation. I've got Latrell at fullback. I was like, oh, I don't actually want any of these fullbacks this week. So then, yeah, just go, Garrick to fullback or whoever you've got, bring in a center wing because at least that way you haven't committed. You kind of want to trade in a fullback next week or the week after, and then that's it. You kind of want to commit till the rest of the season.
Yeah, even like so. Yeah, as I also own a Sako, and yeah, look, I'd rather he have a really good score, go up a little bit in price, but round 22 on, like even from round 20 onwards, like Penrith. The only thing I'm hoping for is Penrith rest their players after Origin, so maybe it's a weakened Penrith team. Then it's okay because then it's Rabbitohs who, without some of the guns like Latrell, no Cam Murray, Penrith hopefully without Origin stars. Then it's the Titans at home. I'm thinking, day game might be fine. Round 22 against the Roosters, I'm thinking, okay, not great. Warriors, who knows? They could be good. But then it's Bulldogs, excellent, excellent defensively. Melbourne at away, Broncos, and then the Knights away. So
Yeah.
it isn't the best run home. So I do look at Asako as someone who I might use his funds to try to downgrade maybe, and then try to upgrade someone like my Fletcher Sharp up to my gun fullback in maybe a few weeks from now. So that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment with Asako. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't love him as a trade. I only suggest that maybe if you are thinking of someone for this week. But personally, yeah, I wouldn't probably be trading in Asako because I think too many low scores in the last kind of like he had that big 150, and of course I traded him in after that. He's only had one score over 80 since then, but lots of 40s and 50s. It's just he's not the same as what he's well, there are lots of 40s and 50s. He just hasn't had as frequently these big 100 scores to bring up his average. So yeah, probably wouldn't
Mm.
love him. Maybe just I think there's no need to talk about Fafita. I think if you just don't have Fafita, I think you just
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
Titans have no more buys for the rest of the year. Number one back roll. Just don't overthink it. Jai Gray, 271K, very, very cheap, 5'8" fullback. I'm iffy on this one as well, just because I think the troll hasn't been confirmed out for the season. It's 2 weeks, reassess, and then see from there. And again, thinking of like, do you want to be trading him in? He makes a little bit of money, but then you have to trade him out again. I think if you're running at like sub 12, 11 trades, then I do feel like it's not worth the risk to um, have to trade him in, because he will be a trade out, because definitely if he's at your fullback spot at 5'8", maybe he can stay there, because he's looked good in the games he's actually played. But yeah, again, I probably don't love it. I'd prefer to maybe go Jake Kungo, Lorenzo Mulatalo, Charlie Geimer, like someone in that second row forward or center wing. I feel more comfortable getting like a very bottom dollar cheapy guy.
Yep. And also just very quickly to add on, agree with you. And it's like the positions that he's in, the guys that you'd have to trade out are kind of awkward as well. So for example, I've got oh God, Lockie Galvin and Cody Walker. I was like, I don't know, well, they're both playing, so I'm not going to want to trade them out. Then I've got Latrell Mitchell, and we made the point just before around fullbacks and why you don't want to lock up a spot. So unfortunately, Jai Gray, this time of the season, the positions that he's in, no go.
Yeah. Just to round out on captaincy, so we spoke a little bit about Fafita and Garrick. So a couple of interesting VCs here. So top 10% of coaches, 9% going Isako and 9% going Cody Walker. I think those are two pretty good shouts. I do think if Jaden Campbell does stay in the number 6 spot and he's goal kicking versus Parramatta, without Moses, that's probably a big thing we need to mention as well. No Mitchell Moses, and we saw how bad they've been without him. I think if I had Campbell in my team, I would lean him as a VC over Fafita, just with the goal kicking, the way that he didn't really bring Fafita into the game last time they played out. I think I would actually go VC Campbell over Fafita, and then see what he goes, and then probably captain a man. I think a Manly player's captain seems, in my opinion, I think that's the game where I can see a lot of points from that team. So Manly, similar with the Titans. I think the Titans will win this game and score 25, 30 points. So a Campbell into Garrick would be my optimal. But I understand, obviously, if you don't want to trade in Campbell, then Fafita, Garrick, to me, feels like the very safe play. Any pod shouts of captains that you can think of, or any thoughts on maybe why some of these guys should be higher or lower?
Yep, nothing massively potty. I think I'm just going to assume people don't have Jaden Campbell just for the point of this, because I definitely agree with your reasoning. If you do have Campbell, why you go him? Should have checked. Tonight's game is at
only
that's the
24% owned by
Dolphins.
the top 10% by the look of this year.
Ooh, yep. I was going to say tonight's game is a Dolphins home game. So I reckon like I just picture those games as being high scoring games. So and I think obviously a couple of key players missing from both sides. I'm definitely I'm personally going Isako vice captain, but I haven't put as much thought into it as I will by tonight. I'm probably going to stay with that. Like if you're not happy with your ranking, this round and next round are like two really big opportunities to do something with your ranking. So I'm basically going to be looking at these numbers and figure out like how can I try to do something else? Because at the moment I've got Isako VC leading into David Fafita captain. But I think just like there's probably a couple of games like tonight's game. I reckon like I think it'll be high scoring. You mentioned the Titans game. That's a Gold Coast home game, right?
Yes, I believe it's home,
Harrow, no Moses, no Bolo. Season's over. They're sort of playing a few rookies, both edges as well. That horrible left edge is only getting worse for them as well. So there's just like so many reasons to vice JC if he's playing and starting. So definitely agree with you. And again, Manly playing, is that at home as well? Sorry, the 4 p.m.
it's at
on
4
Sunday.
points. Yep.
There you go. Versus Knights missing a few players. So I think just take your pick. Like if you're like me and you like sort of trying to desperately do something different to go up the ranks, I would look at the percentages, if top 10,
for sure.
like the lower, less popular, B, C, and C options. And as long as you actually like them, I think I'd do that because there's no point going with with everyone else this week, especially when pretty much everyone should be able to do the VC loophole quite easily.
Yeah, pretty much. So the ones that stick out that seem to be on that lower end, Isako, Cody Walker, Jaden Campbell. And if you've got maybe like a Keanu Kinney, he would be probably if he obviously
if he plays,
if he stays in the starting team, then I think he's actually a really good shout as well. Surprisingly, we haven't touched on really any of the Sharks players, but coming up against the Tigers, but I think it's just the no Hines. We just don't really know how they're going to fare. So I think that's probably why like Britton Nicker is the highest here for VC, and he's on 2.9%. So maybe a pod from the Sharks as well, but I agree with the percentages. I believe it's because of the Hines effect. No Hines, we just don't quite know how the Sharks are going to fare. Captaincy is pretty similar as well. I mean, 9% is still wanting to captain James Tedesco by the look of it. Fair enough. I wish he was playing this week because it'd make my decision really easy. But the most popular combo is seemingly Fafita Garrick, which is what I'm running at the moment. I will consider Isako or Cody Walker. I just think for me, I like Garrick in that Manly game, and I don't feel confident enough to captain Fafita just with that Jaden Campbell thing. So I'm happy to run the risk on the VC. And if he goes huge, then great, I'll take the loot. But to know that once I captain him, that's it. That's probably the only thing that's leaning me towards not VCing Isako or Cody. And both of those guys, while they could be good, I just haven't seen enough to suggest that they're going to have that big 120. Fafita doesn't have to do as much to get that kind of a score. So that's kind of my reasoning for just going the Fafita Garrick VCC.
Love it.
All right, mate. I think we've probably touched on everything we need to for this week. Any closing remarks, final thoughts, or like what do you think you're doing with your team? Just any trade thoughts?
Yeah, or I'll do mine very quick. So as much as I actually said you don't want to lock up a fullback spot, what I'm probably that Jaden Campbell, the points that you made really got me excited about him. So I think if he
He looks
does end up, he looks really good. So if he does end up starting, I might actually bring him in for Latrell Mitchell. I've got Lockie Galvin and Cody Walker in my halves. So like I actually will want to get rid of potentially Walker if they lose one or two and the season's gone, but probably definitely like I essentially want to get rid of one of those two. So I
Yeah.
think like what I'm going to end up doing if Campbell plays, trade him in for Trell, keep him there for this week, then take my pick, as you said, of Ponga and Walsh in the next couple of weeks, and then move him up to the halves if needed. So that I've only got 11 this week, so like that'll be my 12th, and then I've also got Hines as well, which I obviously need to trade out. So they're probably like the two guys, Latrell and Hines, that I'll be trading out. I've locked in JC now, as long as he's starting.
Nice.
Don't know what I'll be doing at halfback, but I'll have to see. And as I said before, I'm just gonna keep going all in on Dave Fafita because I love him. My
Yeah,
rank
fair
isn't
enough.
good enough
Yeah, I like
to
that
stress
play.
about. How about you?
Yeah, you're freeing up 300K going to Latrell to Campbell. So I think that gives you flexibility to upgrade one of those 5/8s if you want. And
Yeah.
yeah, personally, with in your situation, I would just keep Hines and you can just go him to Cleary next
Oh,
week.
Cleary, sorry, I did say that on Discord. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
that's what I was going to do.
Yeah. So I
Yep,
think, yeah, to be fair, and Campbell has got upside this week. So I think even though you're one short, you're getting in a guy who will hopefully, he might even cover two other players. So I think that's fine. For me, yeah, Kai Paul Olaquatu, I think is locked in. I mean, this Campbell chat is making me think of going Sam Walker to Jaden Campbell. It's tempting. It frees up some money as well, but I think I'm probably not going to do any more with that. I think I've got 13. So I think my team looks fine. So I think, yeah, Kaipi's falls Olaquatu is probably just going to be my one trade for the week. And yeah, keeping it simple, save trades if possible, and yeah, focus on making more moves for the run home because I'm sure there'll
love
be
it.
other things that come up that will throw us some curveballs.
Yep, and I think just one last thing I'll say. So on trades, my ranking is not great, but I do have 14 trades and I've got a boost. So
Oh, yeah. In
again,
your
on all
yeah.
the
Yeah. 100%. I'd be doing that Campbell move now. Knowing that your trade.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Easy move.
yeah. But I think the one last thing I was going to say, because I've just not been, we were like, roughly the same rank till about like start of Origin. And now you've obviously, I think you're 3 or 4,000 now in terms of ranking.
Like 3,700, I think, at the
There
moment.
you
Yeah.
go. And I'm still stuck at, I think, like 20 odd, but whatever it is. I think the one like last lever I've got to pull is like, do I kind of hold a couple of trades or whatever till the last round when everyone else is out of trades and teams are resting, etc. So I think like your sort of second last chance to make a move is this round and next round. And your absolute final one is making sure you've got a couple of trades left for round 27. Teams are resting, chaos. I know Guru from like he keeps talking about how he traded Cooler from Manly, I think, the last couple of rounds of last season. I want to try to do something like that. Just have like a heroic end to the season, go up a few thousand ranks. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
don't give
No, I
up.
think for sure with trades in hand, yeah, you can make those kind of moves. And there will be a point where come round 24, 25, there are teams who've just got nothing to play for, teams who've
Yep.
got everything to play for, and they'll just go and shellac them. And so, yeah, those are the opportunities that you can capitalize on for sure. All right, I think we've probably reached out for time. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Yeah, so Nicole, just want to do a plug for Wiki, where to find you.
Yes, it's actually a good time because obviously Origin 3, great time to sort of get the buzz around all things footy. Google Wiki Linktree, guys. Our Discord community. It's actually just about to crack 5,000, which is huge. It's going to be really cool. So we've got a Discord community. It's mainly for rugby league, punting, fantasy, and supercoach. There's a bunch of chat for other sports as well. So get in there. Our sort of tri-score picks and podcasts and all that punting stuff is all there for free as well if you just Google Wiki Linktree. And obviously for State of Origin, we're going to be putting it's going to be a huge game. So putting a lot of effort into content, like breaking down left, free, right, all that stuff for Origin. But yeah, it's all in the one place. But yeah, always good fun to do this.
Awesome. Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, I mean, go the Blues. Let's go.
That'd be a
Hopefully that's,
cracker.
I mean, it's a tough ask, but yeah, I'm sure we can, sure the boys can pull through hopefully in the end. But yeah, it'll be an awesome game, I think.
Sweet.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Good luck for your Supercoach teams for round 19, and we'll catch you all in the next one. See ya.